In Sweden, Christmas traditions run deep, deeper than most modern families remember. The straw Yule goat, the Jolbok, sits under Christmas trees and on tables across the country. A charming decoration, a symbol of the season. But most have forgotten what it represents, what it replaced, and what still waits in the winter darkness for families who forget the old customs. This is the story of the Anderson family, of a forgotten tradition, and the discovery that some Christmas spirits demand more than milk and cookies. The Andersons were a typical modern family living just outside Stockholm. Martin and Sarah, with their 2 children, Eric and Linnea, celebrated Christmas, or Yule, as it's called in Sweden, with all the contemporary traditions. The tree, the presents, the big ham dinner. But this year, in the holiday rush, they forgot something. The straw Yule goat. Every year, Sarah's late mother had insisted they place a handmade straw goat under the tree. But she had passed away in October, and in their grief and distraction, no one remembered to place a straw goat under the tree. No one thought it mattered. It was just a quaint custom, a decoration, nothing important. They were wrong. Christmas Eve arrived. The family gathered, opened presents, and ate their meal. Everything was perfect, normal. At midnight, they went to bed, the children excited for Christmas morning, the parents happy but exhausted. At 1 a.m, a sound woke them. Heavy footsteps on the roof, like something massive walking across the tiles. Martin went to look outside, but saw nothing, just snow and darkness. He dismissed it as imagination and went back to bed. But the sound came again, louder this time, more deliberate. Then, a crash. Something had come down the chimney. Martin and Sarah rushed downstairs and found their living room transformed. The temperature had plummeted, frost creeping across the windows, their breath misting in the air. Standing in front of the Christmas tree was a creature. It was massive, at least 8 feet tall. It had the body of a man, but the head of a goat, with huge curved horns and yellow eyes that reflected the Christmas lights. He was dressed in ancient furs and leather, carrying a birch rod. This was the Yule goat. Not a decoration, not a symbol. The real thing. The original gift bringer from before Christianity, from when Yule was a pagan celebration. He spoke in Old Swedish, his voice deep, resonant, and angry. He said the Anderson family had broken the compact. For 8 generations, they had honored him with the straw goat, acknowledging his presence, maintaining the tradition. This year, they had forgotten, dismissed him, treated him as irrelevant. For this disrespect, there would be consequences. The family owed him a debt. 3 tasks, 3 impossible challenges to be completed before dawn. If they succeeded, he would forgive them. If they failed, they would serve him for a year as his helpers in his realm. The children started crying. Sarah tried to reason with him, but the Yule goat was beyond reason. The compact was broken. The debt had to be paid. The tasks began. The first task: bring me the first gift ever given in this house. Martin and Sarah were stunned. The house was only 10 years old. They'd given each other thousands of gifts. How could they know which was first? The Yule goat waited, patient but unyielding. Dawn was 4 hours away. Then 12-year-old Eric remembered something. He ran upstairs and returned with a small hand-carved wooden horse. His grandfather had made it for his mother Sarah when she and Martin first bought the house. A housewarming gift. The first thing given with love within these walls. Eric placed it before the Yule goat. The creature examined it, nodded, and gently picked it up. The first task was complete. The second task: show me the true spirit of Yule. Not Christmas, the modern holiday, but the ancient celebration, the winter solstice ritual. The family was lost. Modern Christmas was all they knew. Santa Claus, presents, trees. That was the spirit they understood. The Yule goat shook his head. That wasn't Yule. That was something newer, something that had replaced him. 9-year-old Linnea asked if she could look in her grandmother's room, which was still packed with her belongings. Sarah agreed. Linnea ran downstairs and searched through boxes of old photos, letters, and books. In the bottom of one box, she found a journal in her grandmother's handwriting. It was filled with recipes, stories, memories, and instructions for celebrating Yule the old way. She brought it upstairs and read aloud. Yule wasn't about presents. It was about the returning light after the longest night. It was about community, sharing food with neighbors, and bringing greenery inside to remind everyone that life persists even through the harshest winter. It was about honoring the spirits who protected the home. The Yule goat listened intently. When Linnea finished, he nodded again. She understood. Her grandmother had taught her without her even knowing. The second task was complete. The third task was the hardest. Tell me why I should forgive you. Martin tried first, explaining they'd been busy, distracted, that they didn't mean to forget. The Yule goat dismissed this. Excuses weren't reasons. Sarah tried next, saying they didn't understand his importance. They didn't know he was real. The Yule goat dismissed this as well. Ignorance wasn't an excuse. With only an hour left until dawn, the children were terrified. Then Eric spoke. He said honestly they'd forgotten because Christmas had become about other things. Santa, shopping, consumption. They'd lost the meaning, the connection to the old ways, the respect for what came before. The Yule goat stared at him and asked if Eric truly wanted the old ways back, if he would honor them from now on. Eric said yes, but admitted he didn't fully understand them, not now that his grandmother was gone. The Yule goat's expression softened. That was the first honest answer he'd heard all night. An admission that the knowledge had been lost, not simply dismissed. There was a difference. He asked if the family would learn, would try to recover what had been forgotten, and honor him and the other old spirits not from fear, but from a genuine desire to connect with their heritage. The family agreed, all of them. They would learn, ask questions, and bring back what had been lost. The Yule goat nodded. The third task was complete, but he added a condition. He wasn't the only one who'd been forgotten. Other spirits, other traditions, all fading as modernity took over. If they truly wanted to honor the old ways, they needed to remember all of them. He would teach them, visiting each year to share the stories, the rituals, the meanings. But they had to commit. With their promise made, the Yule goat stepped back. The frost on the windows melted. The air warmed. He placed the small wooden horse on the mantel, telling them it was now sacred, a reminder of the first task. He would return next year to check on their progress. Then he walked to the fireplace and vanished up the chimney. The family stood in silence, processing what had just happened. Eric picked up his grandmother's journal and started reading. Together, they spent the rest of Christmas Eve learning about Yule, about the traditions their ancestors had honored. Christmas morning was different. It was quieter, more thoughtful. Using the journal's recipes, they made a traditional meal and invited their neighbors over to share food and stories. They brought evergreen branches inside, acknowledging the longest night and the returning sun. It felt right, connected, meaningful in a way their usual Christmas never had. That evening, Sarah went to a craft store, bought supplies, and carefully made a straw Yule goat, following the instructions from the journal. She placed it under the tree and whispered her thanks to the spirit who had given them a second chance, who reminded them that some traditions truly matter. The next year, when the Yule goat returned, he found the family ready. The straw goat was under the tree. The old recipes were prepared. The children had researched other winter spirits and could recite the old prayers. The Yule goat was pleased. He shared more stories, more wisdom, and then he told them something important. He wasn't really angry about being forgotten. He was lonely. For centuries, he'd been pushed aside, made into a simple decoration, while families celebrated a holiday without understanding its roots. The Andersons were helping him remember who he was, what he meant, and why he mattered. He visits them every year now, always on Christmas Eve, always checking, always teaching. The Anderson children have grown, and they will teach their own children, passing on the traditions and telling the stories. They honor the Yule goat not out of fear, but out of respect and connection. They understand that modern celebrations are richer when they acknowledge their roots, when they remember what came before, and when they honor the spirits who still wait in the winter darkness, hoping to be remembered, hoping that someone, somewhere, still places a straw goat under their tree and whispers thanks to the one who came before Santa. The Yule goat, ancient, patient, and no longer forgotten. Thanks for watching, and good night. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the forgotten corners of folklore.